Welcome to Business Digest. I'm Pauline Diguelo. Tonight, we turn our attention to a subject that is increasingly affecting our households, our businesses, and the broader economy: fraud. From phishing scams and identity theft to digital banking fraud, criminals are becoming more sophisticated, and the consequences are for the consumers. To help us unpack what fraud looks like in the banking sector, how widespread it is, and what consumers can do to protect themselves, we are joined by Oabetswe Gabatshwarane from Stanbic Bank, Botswana. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you for welcoming me.
First things first, can you kindly introduce yourself and the position that you hold?
My name is Oabetswe Gabatshwarane. I work for Stanbic as Manager of Investigations under Forensic Department.
Okay, sir. So what is fraud? Can you explain fraud in the banking context?
Thank you for the question. I think from the banking context, fraud is the unlawful, intentional misrepresentation to gain access to certain information that you would normally not have access to. It can take different forms. Fraud can take different forms. It could be dishonesty, identity theft, check dishonesty, or all sorts. So it can take different forms. And unlike, like I said, unlike traditional theft, fraud relies mostly on manipulation and misrepresentation to bypass controls that the bank would have put in place to safeguard customer funds.
So what are some of the most common types of fraud that you are currently seeing in the banking sector?
Recently, maybe let me say, recently what we have seen is change of banking details, whereby fraudsters will send a legitimate supplier a letter, a fake letter, to change, telling them that they've changed their banking details, and the legitimate supplier would pay those funds to such account details, which eventually they'll find that that is not the legitimate owner, the legitimate supplier. Therefore, by the time they realize, the funds have already gone. And we have also seen account takeovers where there are issues of SIM swap, where people can SIM swap your SIM card and now have access to your bank account. There's also been identity theft where people apply for loans using fraudulent identification. Those are some of the things that are happening in the bank. There's also phishing, where you'll get calls or emails that will prompt you to make some certain actions that by the time you realize, you have already clicked and some of the information have already taken by fraudsters, and they've had access to your account.
So what are some of the practical examples that Stanbic has come across? Who are these fraudsters and who typically becomes the victim?
Like I said, the examples would be bonable change of banking details, about phishing. I know recently Batswana batho ba ikgateka halala. That is it's a scam on its own, and a lot of people have lost their funds through that scam. And who is a victim? It's an interesting question. And who are the fraudsters?
Yes.
Majority of the time, we have seen people coming and they're complaining about that they've been defrauded, and most of the time you don't look further. It could be your friend, somebody that you trust, family members. We have seen boyfriend and girlfriends coming complaining that I suspect that my boyfriend we share a lot that ordinarily the bank would have advised not to share. Like if you have somebody that maybe boyfriend, girlfriend, or mother and son, daughter, you'll give your daughter your card, and they'll go and swipe with while you are not there. So those are some of the things that basically anyone can be a victim of this of fraud.
So to give us a sense of how serious this challenge is, are there any figures that you can share, perhaps amounts lost or fraud?
I don't have the exact figures, but what I can tell you is fraud runs into millions. I think this year I saw something in the newspapers where one of the local banks indicated, or one of the customer of the local banks indicated that they've lost about over $1 million for a single transaction. So that can tell you that it's a lot of money. If one person in a single transaction can lose over $1 million, then it's a serious problem that we are facing, particularly with the growth of social media and how people get comfortable sharing their information on social media.
I want us to go back to issue where sometimes it's you get scammed through telephone calls. How do I tell that this call comes directly from the bank? It's from a scammer, because sometimes nowadays you'd find that you use cell phones. So how do I distinguish between the two?
It's not an easy thing, but there are certain things that you need to be live to. For example, when scammers call you, they will ask you for certain information that traditionally the bank won't ask you to provide that information, like asking for your PIN, your password, or to share certain information that are more personal than. Technically, the bank won't ask you for your PIN and other information. You can only share with them go banking. So you need to look out for such, because the bank will never ask you for your personal information at any point, whether through SMS or through a call.
Okay, so those are the red flags. What other red flags, for example, emailing, can you detect or no, this one is coming from a scammer?
I think when you receive an email, the first thing that you need to look at is the email itself to see if it's authentic. There are certain things you might find on Botswana will use the domain here, BW. They can change that slightly and say .com, or maybe where there's a full stop, they can put a slash or something, just to see the consistency in your original email address. So it's important to check before you respond or click to open any link. You need to verify if that is authentic. So those are some of the things that you can look at.
Thank you so much. I think what I've picked from you, Gori, even when you receive a call, it's okay to just maybe confirm from the bank, or is this call coming from one of your people? Or even let's only email it. We have a right to call and confirm before giving out such information.
Yes, but the bank advise you to, if you are not sure, you need to hang up and call the bank from a number that you have been using to call the bank, or use a platform that you have used before that you trust to confirm if. I know people receive a lot of SMS these days, say click the link so that you can update your KYC. These are some of the things. Like KYC, it's something that the bank would ask for you on daily basis. So the scammers know that when they update your KYC, you will not even check many times. You'll just go to the link and click. So to confirm first before you take any action. So it's one thing that the bank will put out there and emphasize, check first.
Thank you so much, sir. Those are some of the worrying insights. When we come back, we'll look at why fraud appears to be on the rise and the role that social media plays in enabling these crimes. We'll be right back.
For more than 50 years, Debswana's success has been the result of a solid and enduring partnership between the Botswana government and De Beers. This has been underpinned by the resilience and commitment of its workforce. The Debswana story is one marked by a careful stewardship, wise investment, and shared prosperity by all stakeholders. Debswana is motivated by its vision of becoming a global benchmark diamond business and is regarded as one of the world's leading diamond producers by value. It currently operates 4 operations: Orapa and Damtsha mines, the Letlhakane mine tailings treatment plant, and Jwaneng mine. Recovered diamonds are sold to the Diamond Trading Company Botswana in Gaborone, one of the world's most sophisticated rough diamond sorting and valuing facilities. After this stage, the diamonds are sold to the De Beers Global Sightholder Sales for aggregation and to the wholly government-owned Okavango Diamond Company, ODC. The diamonds are then sold to the world's leading diamond tears, known as sightholders, to be cut and polished before being sold to jewelry manufacturers both locally and abroad. Debswana is the largest employer in Botswana after the government, with over 5,500 employees and 6,000 contractors. The company recognizes that having a more diverse and inclusive workforce is not only the right thing to do, but also a business imperative. Debswana is guided by the Social Way framework, which establishes social performance principles by delivering a lasting positive contribution to communities, managing risks and impacts. Debswana's vision and values underpin the way it operates. They guide the way it deals with its people and its stakeholders, empowering the company to make life brilliant and turn diamond dreams into reality. One of the company's core values is to conduct business in a manner that upholds the safety and health of its employees, visitors, and contractors, and minimize impact on the environment. Debswana's environmental and safety systems conform to the highest international standards. The game parks surrounding its larger operations are well stocked and protected and are used as popular recreational destinations and for environmental education. Through the significant contribution of Debswana, Botswana is now regarded as a modern economic success story, a country with modest beginnings that has transformed itself into a rapidly developing upper-middle income economy. Even though diamonds are finite, Debswana remains a beacon of hope for Botswana, and will continue to be such for the foreseeable future. Debswana, mining diamonds, enriching the nation.
Okay, sir. Earlier on, before we went for the break, Onori hear some of the examples these fraudsters use to scam people. So why does it seem like fraud and similar activities are increasing lately?
Yeah, thank you for the question. For me, it's a rapid adoption of digital technologies and gaps that exist in addressing fraud cases or just fraud in general. There's the fraudster tactics that we don't really understand as the general public. There's also organizational weaknesses where organizations don't have the right, or they are not up to speed, or they haven't invested enough to deal with issues of fraud. And also legacy systems. We know the kind of these systems some of them have been used. They are old and they are not up to date with the current speed of how we adopt the technology. And there are also human errors. It's easier even when as a person somebody can just call you just that lab cell or allow o mo neetse di-details ka le gone ko bankeng ga kgonega gore nga modiri wa banka a ire phoso ya go nna le ke dilo tse di ka iragalang re human error. But tshwanetse re tlhaloganya gore the criminals themselves, they are currently leveraging on issues like artificial intelligence and automation tse e leng gore gompieno o kgona go tswa video ya gago o bua mme tota e ne se wena, which means it's easy for people to trust something that is not generally authentic. Also, go na le kgolo e ntsi e diragetseng mo social media. Currently we have about 5 billion users tsa social media. Tse e leng gore go raya gore batho ba bantsi they spend more time on social media, and if you spend more time on social media, it means that criminals, they have more time to interact with individuals. And we know how people are comfortable sharing their stories, their whatever, the content, people like them. But even the scammers, they take advantage of that. And like I said, there's also general lack of awareness. Generally, people are not aware of the tactics that the scammers will use. When they attack you, you didn't know that you are being attacked. So these are some of the things that we need to teach people. And the bank itself, it's ahead in terms of teaching people. Public education is because I can tell you now, we can make it difficult for scammers to get into the customer accounts. We can do everything in our power as the bank, but if you give people scammers your details, then I think there isn't much that the bank can do, because then they'll pose as you and they'll be allowed to come in into your account if it looks authentic that it's you, even though it's not.
Okay. So what role does social media play? Would you say it's making things worse, or is it helping the bank to educate the consumers?
It's both. It's both. I know, social media, it's one of the platforms that we can share critical information. I know almost all the companies in Botswana, they have social media pages where they share critical information that can help consumers. If used accordingly, then it provides us with information but also because what attracts us as ordinary people is the same thing that attracts criminals into social media. So they know they can interact, and like I said, people are more comfortable to share information they will not share with any other person. Gompieno ha ke na le wena o sa nkitse ke go botsa gore account number ya go ke mang, ke go bolelela dilo tse dintsi, you feel what is he up to? But once we get into social media and you ask me questions, I'm comfortable to share information. Ordinarily, in hardly more you want. So it's easier to share information more social media, which makes it even more difficult to control. For the controls tsa banka to work, because now if you share the information that the bank believe, for example, if you share your PIN, traditionally the bank knows that PIN ke ya gago, and every time o cash mo machine ka karata ya gago tsentswe PIN, so the assumption ke gore go ahead. Because even how you are, there's a fine print how you are karata e kwadilweng ka itse re ha rata go bala thata mme is there. That tells you the do's and don'ts. So don't share your PIN, protect your card, make sure that house wiper most chabeng you shield it. What about PIN? The little things that that have been shared all along, they still work even today.
From a consumer's point of view, I know you've earlier shared some of the tips, but how can your clients, like as banks, protect themselves from being defrauded? What are the practical tools or habits would you recommend?
I think one of the biggest thing is one, you don't have to share your PIN. Two, your password, you don't have to share your password. You are not supposed to share those. Even to your close friends or family members or loved ones, you are not supposed to be sharing those. And also, it's important if you are in public, you are purchasing ko shopong wa reka wa swipe ko post machining, always shield your card. Kana gompieno go na le di-camera tse dintsi tse le gore they are all over le mo di-shopong tse le gore tota ne di tsenyeditswe go protecta wena go le consumer. So ha o tsena bo swipe gore a re mongwe somewhere can abuse that privilege ya gore o lebeletse di-camera and take your PIN or the details tsa karata ya gago a ba di dirisa otherwise. So tota you just need to be vigilant whenever you are dealing with issues tsa go reka go dirisa karata ya gago, who you share your banking details and how, because tota, like I said before, the bank will never ask you to share such information, and they always emphasize ko banke we always emphasize gore tseo ke tsa gago le nosi phithela kgoma sortswana.
So many customers have come forward about complaining when they fall victim to fraud. It's either banks take long to respond, or or some even feel that maybe haba bone thuso at all. So I'm wondering here, what is the bank's approach to refunds and maybe compensation ha fraudi diragates? When is the bank liable?
Kana ke ta bua ka Setswana, ke ta leka bua ka Setswana because ke a itse re yo talk. Kana gore ga go nnile le fraud so se tona se banka e se dirang ke go leka go mo ka teng go thothomisa kana to do an investigation. Tota it takes a form anchoring as the bank's responsibility versus customer negligence. Kore ke ra gore the bank ka sosantha e leka go bona gore a mme rona re le banka re irile sengwe le sengwe re se dire gore go se ka nna le fraud akere ka gore ha ile gore banka go ngwe ga ya ira sengwe sente then e ka tshwanelwa ke gore e duele kgotsa e compensate the client. But also the bank tries to check if there has been negligence from the side of the customer. Sometimes we willingly share our PIN like Kibua. We share some details or traditionally you are not allowed to share. So that's what CTN ke investigation or at the end of the day re nne le go nne le tshiamelo ya gore nya mme ha mokwena o irile phoso kana nya mme banka e ne sa ira sengwe sente gore a gore o ta compensate ke tsone dilo tse di ka diang. The other thing ke gore most of the time customer di tsaya lebaka go report so ha o tsere lebaka go report gore gore go tsale go tlo go tsaya lebaka le gone go investigate because we need to go back and check gore go iragetseng. So if you do it immediately it might be quicker in terms of resolution. But gape go na le gore ha ile gore ga ra dumelana re le banka le wena I think o le customer o na le tshiamelo ya gore o ye ko the banking ombudsman e le go le gore ne the banking adjudicator. So le ene o na le tshiamelo ya go lebella kgang ya gago ha ile gore gongwe banka e go tsere ka tsela e seng yone ke tsaya gore o ka lebella tlhalosa gore nya mme ala motsatsi kana ga go tlhalosetsa gore nya mme ha banka e ne e le mo tshiamelong gore e re ga ke a go duela. So ga se se leng gore se motho go dirwa it takes time for fairness because banka basically like even Stanbic we have a policy treating the customer fairly. So for you to be treated fairly we have to do that thorough investigation but investigation the facts are on the table, so whatever decision is taken it's fair to both the bank and the customer.
Re tla tsweledisa puisano ya rona after the break. Fraud clearly raises difficult questions around responsibility and trust. After the break, we focus on technology, cybersecurity, and how banks are responding increasingly to sophisticated fraudsters. Stay with us.
The Debswana story is one of transformation, the beating heart behind Botswana's evolution. More than a diamond mining company, it epitomizes exploration, innovation, and excellence. Every year, it pioneers responsible resource management, technological progress, and community upliftment, shaping our future. Debswana unearths opportunities, enabling education and livelihoods. Its legacy illuminates our horizons, guiding every Motswana towards a better tomorrow. Debswana, building a brighter future for Botswana, beyond diamonds.
Welcome back. Before we went for the break, you mentioned that you do investigations before leka bona gore do you compensate or not. So just to be clear on that one, does it mean gore gona le ba eleng gore la hanne go dira ka tsaka ba bone sepe go tlhelele kana mongwe le mongwe a ska hela pelo ka bona sengwe after ditlhotlhomiso sa?
Okay, just to clarify, like I said, ha go nna le a failure, ha go nna le fraud. I think the bank assess if it has implemented reasonable care. Remember, the bank has the duty of care to the customer to ensure that the customer funds are protected. A thorough investigation is conducted to determine whether internal controls or real-time monitoring or alerts were adequate from the bank side. Generally, if a bank fails to meet industry standards in fraud detection, then they are highly likely to be held liable for a bad way. However, if a customer shared OTPs, share the one-time PIN, PIN ya gago ya karata, go share karata kana bank sends messages every time warning people not to do certain things. If it comes clear that we have ignored that, or you were grossly negligent, that may reduce the chance of the bank to reimburse. Each reimbursement claim made by a customer will need to be assessed in its own individual merits to ascertain whether the customer is eligible for reimbursement or has acted with gross negligence. But it's not in question but it has to be assessed properly for a fair conclusion to be reached.
With the rapid spread of internet and digital technologies, we know that fraudsters are becoming more advanced. So how is Stanbic keeping pace with these developments to protect our customers?
Stanbic has adopted proactive strategies to minimize financial loss by implementing secure digital ATM and mobile banking features, including encryption and two-factor authentication to safeguard a transaction. When you how the transaction before transaction it's OTP. You remember my number, that's the number that you've provided to the bank to say this is my number. So some of the things I think the pinnacle of all this, it's customer education. I think Stanbic continues to share insights on how customers should protect themselves. Like I said, for a bank seller generally, the banking industry can put all the all the controls that you can think of, the best controls. But if customers are not educated and they don't know what exactly they need to do to protect their accounts, then it won't work. So I think from a bank perspective, from Stanbic, I think customer education is the pinnacle of all this to ensure that fraud is minimized or frustrated.
Many fraud incidents occur due to weak cybersecurity practices by customers themselves. So how is Stanbic strengthening protections across its digital platforms?
I think I need to say, while many fraud incidents that stems from weak customer cyber security practices by sharing body PIN way. Stanbic has been investing heavily in tightening protection across its digital channels. Body OTP, body PIN to encrypt information, to educate customers and to make sure they know what to do under what circumstances. So it's one of the things that really helps. Stanbic employs a comprehensive digital security framework designed to protect logins, transaction, and data exchange. The layered structure itself is significant because it reduces what account takeover. If you follow what the bank would tell you not to do, and the bank itself has invested heavily in the protection of customers, then we are highly likely not to see fraud because both the customer, it's a shared responsibility because the bank need to do its due diligence to ensure that its systems are well protected, and also the customer need to ensure that they don't share information to anyone. If both do that, then fraud will be definitely frustrated.
We are now in December, a period that is known for shopping sprees and increased spending. So what specific fraud risks can you particularly alert to customers during festive season?
The one thing that people should look at, they should look out for fraudsters claiming to be from the bank. I know we receive SMS that this is bank, this is the bank, they want you to do certain things, do certain actions, or you receive calls that, the halala thing, they will call you and say, we are at the bank. So those are things that you need to look out for and be alive to the situation. People can call you, and if you are not vigilant, you'll end up taking actions. Don't worry, wa go latlhegelwa ke madi.
Mhm.
A kry ano re mo season e le gore mongwe le mongwe a spenda ba re na le madi re a spenda ba re se na one re ipotsa re go a tsaya kae, so we become very creative to try to have the money le rona gore re kgone go ya go reka. So it's important gore re le di-customer tsa banka re protect the information. That the key thing, like I've been saying, is to protect the information ya gago ya banka gore e se ka ba wela mo matsogong ape a e seng one, kgotsa re se ka trust thata kry like nne ke bua ga o tshela le motho e le boyfriend o kana e le girlfriend ta ke se ka kana ke re boyfriend wa ke banna e le girlfriend kana e le motho your daughter, your son, or somebody who is very close to you, just because you have been working together, trust them. So sometimes the pressure tsa madi motho mo pressure ya madi o monela karata ya gago trusting gore ebile spending sa gompieno ke sone sa ko mailo a tso bodutu mo kgona go nela kry-a tsa o teka tse pedi o mo ke go neetse karata ke go neetse le pin. So in that way you've already compromised your banking details ka go dira jalo. So they should look out for such things and avoid doing dilo tsa go nnalo because ke tsone tse di ka ba tsenya mo diphatseng.
Your final word on fraud awareness, what are the key warnings that you can give customers or they should watch out for them?
The key things nka se bua ke gore tota batswana la tshwanetse gore ba itse gore banka ga e ka ke a go leletsa e go kopa pin ya gago ya banka, whether ke ya karata kana ke password ya go ya online banking kana ke yone ya cell phone banking, ba go kopa OTP kana ba go kopa di-number tse di mo karateng kgotsa le yone account number a tota. Banka will never call you for such information. So hela motho a go leletsa ba kopa dilo tseo, just know gore ga se banka, ga ke a ba nna banka. Tota hela sa bogelo o se ka share information epe ya gago ya banka le third party. Third party go tswa mongwe le mongwe le gore kana no the parties to the contract ya gago ya banking ke wena le banka. So if you share that detail outside that sphere, go raya gore yaanong you have compromised your security sa banka gore yaanong motho o ka tsaya di-details tsa go di dirisa a kry gompieno o neela motho karata ya gago o mo neela pin o kgona go tsaya di-number tse di mo karateng because o mo ihile. Now they can go ba go e dirisa go sale da utlwa gote o tshwere karata mme karata e reka somewhere else. So those are the things. So you just have to avoid go neela batho karata ya gago or share any other information ya banka because go botlhokwa that to keep your account safe.
What should people do immediately if they suspect or
Like I said before, we need to report. We need to be prompt in reporting. Ga go molato gore ga o suspecta selo bo se report go tenya mme ne sa re sepe. In that way you would have been protected. I get go na le gore o diega gore ke setse ke lebeletse situation ke ta reporta later. That delays the whole thing, and maybe by the time you report the money have already gone. Malatsi a go na le di-platform tse di tshwanang tsa bo crypto tse gore people can get your money and send to crypto, and it is difficult to recover madi mo go tsone. Not gore ga go kgonega but go tsaya lebaka to recover because it's those are new platforms they are based on more digital platforms tse gore ga go motho go ela go tsamaya gore ke tlo tsaya madi unlike ha ke tsere madi a gagwe ke a transferela mo accounteng ya me in another bank. So it's a local bank, we can talk to them and we fight fraud together as an industry. So it's easier to recover the funds. But if the funds are transferred outside the country or in a platform ga e dirisane thata le banka, so it takes time to recover the funds. So that's why go le botlhokwa tota gore re itshireletse ka tsela ntseng jang.
di-ATM gate di-swiping machine tse di sa batleng pin tsone se re gane go swipa ka tsone.
It's a difficult question, but most of Stanbic they would require a PIN. I cannot speak for other banks, but I think PIN is important. I know Stanbic they will require PIN. Maybe here and there they will not, but I think the best people they issue those. But from my experience, they will require PIN.
No, thank you so much for your valuable insights.
Thank you.
Era. Fraud is not just a banking issue, it's a shared responsibility. Staying informed, alert, and cautious can make all the difference. That's all we have for Business Digest tonight. I'm Pauline Diguelo. Thank you for watching. Until next time.
The Debswana story is one of transformation, the beating heart behind Botswana's evolution. More than a diamond mining company, it epitomizes exploration, innovation, and excellence. Every year, it pioneers responsible resource management, technological progress, and community upliftment, shaping our future. Debswana unearths opportunities, enabling education and livelihoods. Its legacy illuminates our horizons, guiding every Motswana towards a better tomorrow. Debswana, building a brighter future for Botswana, beyond diamonds.